Hello, folks, and welcome back here to the corner. I'm really glad for anyone who's still listening to what kind of like starts to feeling like a piece of shit show sometimes, but we can't always be lucky with the guests that we get on here. So I'm really thankful and grateful that my co-host had the opportunity to come on the line today to make this episode, since this will raise at least the quality bar of our podcast a little bit in at least tonight's episode. And tonight we're actually going to go with a Better Call Saul update and some talk about Better Call Saul in general. What do you think about that, Alex?
First of all, thanks for giving me the time tonight, and it was pretty lucky that we had this night off, because I actually had something else planned, but that fell through, which is surprising considering we got a freaking pandemic going on still, but yeah, apparently they had to do something else, and now I'm left here with my dick in my hand, as you say, and so now I had the time, actually, surprise, to go off on this episode tonight with you, so that's cool. But Better Call Saul, man. We have two very interesting things tonight that I wanted to bring forward here, which is the relationship between Mike and Saul, which is actually a little odd in a way. And then, of course, also we have whether Howard is treating Kim fairly. That was kind of like the two topics that I had in mind for tonight. So yeah, I don't know. Should we just try to continue with the first one, the Mike Saul relationship?
Yeah. I also want to touch down later on when we think we will actually see some Better Call Saul again, but
exactly. I think as I recall they were going to air it in 2022.
I think so. Like, they haven't confirmed it yet, but we'll get to that later. So before I space out and zone out or something about what you just said. I want to get to those topics ASAP. You said the relationship between Mike and Saul, right? And it's
exactly.
That's really interesting to touch down on that, because
which is an interesting thing, because there is a scene in I believe it is episode 5, or no, maybe it's episode 4, where Saul, or where Jimmy is pulling up next to this I don't know what to call her. I think it's her name is Erin, but Jimmy is just calling her the Stasi report. Like, he's saying to her at some point, "Does this go in my official Stasi report?" Because she's like babysitting him. This is after he has just made a major screw up airing that commercial. And Cliff, the boss, is very mad at him for doing this.
Yeah, no, I remember that because that was at the time where he was still at Cliff Main, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then in this scene, he and Aaron, the Stasi worker that Cliff is, let's just call it that, who was hired to babysit Jimmy, they're pulling up in a car next to Mike in that police department lot, and Jimmy is noticing that Mike has just been beaten to shit by Tuco in the previous episode, and he is saying, "Whoa, what happened to you, man?" Like really caring about Mike.
Yeah.
But while I gotta admit, I watched it just recently because like I felt like because I don't know, I searched something on YouTube and then I had to watch the whole scene, you know. But then like I thought of this scene and was like, this doesn't make sense to something that happened in Breaking Bad where Saul, where he has become Saul Goodman and he's in his office and then he's complaining to Walter about oh no, Mike was threatening to break my legs. I do not want anything to do with him anymore. So I think that contrast of Jimmy feeling empathy for Mike in this episode contrasted to years later in Breaking Bad where he is in the office where Mike has apparently threatened to break Saul's legs is a little peculiar. Just I don't know what you think about that.
I have a take on it, and that is that the Saul that we see now, right, hasn't quite broke as bad as we see him in Breaking Bad, right? Because like eventually he lets go of like all his morals and is openly fucking suggesting murder, like it's the most casual thing in the world. Where I don't remember who it was that he's suggesting to off. I think it's like Mike that he's suggesting, like, what if Mike took a trip to Belize? Took a trip to Belize. Right. So he's still like a long way from that point. But that's what happens because, imagine that he had met Mike at that stage, then and Mike showed up with bruises and whatever on his face from Tuco. He wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I doubt he would even ask him if he was all right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But my point is also just being that you can also, even though Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad are some of the best shows in television history, then you can still see in Breaking Bad that it is after Better Call Saul that it was made before Better Call Saul, because the way he says it in Breaking Bad kind of like feels as if he doesn't know Mike.
Yeah.
Like he says it like No, absolutely not. The guy threatened to break my legs, and it just feels to me as if he didn't know him, and that is not true because the continuity of the story in Better Call Saul is that Mike and Saul, or Mike and Jimmy, have known each other for a long time, including stuff that happens in season 6. So, I don't know, I mean, it's a minor detail, but it just it's interesting to think about, I think.
Yeah, I'm also
sure.
thinking that when they made Breaking Bad, then Bob Odenkirk's airtime wasn't that much because he wasn't the main character in Breaking Bad.
No.
He was a side character, so you could also explain it by that his character didn't really have that much time to evolve during Breaking Bad. And it is now
Definitely
during
not.
Better Call Saul that we have this evolving time. So I'm guessing that it is somewhere in this area that we're finding ourselves in. Because
we're also in Better Call Saul, we're also getting into that whole backstory of Jimmy's father, and the whole and what is this guy's name, Marco, the whole backstory there. I mean, that we also wouldn't have been able to get into that in Breaking Bad because it's simply too much.
Yeah,
But that's the beauty. That's the beauty again of spin-offs.
yeah, it is. Like I doubt that they even knew at the time that they were going to make a spin-off when they made Breaking Bad. I think like that.
Yeah, I think no. I think Vince Gilligan had a bigger universe in mind, and I think he had because like that's actually another thing I wanted to touch down upon, like the background story writing and the research that writers do behind the scenes of a show. Like I think Vince Gilligan had already a lot of Better Call Saul written before Breaking Bad, and the reason why I say this is because recently, I started in this writing group with a dude from Finland, and a dude from Cali. I told you about this, I think not on the air, but privately. And there is this guy from Finland who the last meeting we had, we were about to write a short story about a drug dealer and his sister, and like it's still very much like vaguely in the offing, I think it's, as you would say, but like the last meeting we had, he wrote to us that he actually has 60 pages of background notes written behind the characters and behind the story, of like just notes on the characters and on the research on the subject of drugs, which he has written. And I was like, wow, man, for a short story that's supposed to be 1 to 3 pages, that's quite extensive of a research you have written here.
Yeah, well, like that would also.
So I was kind of amazed by that.
It would also like kind of like make sense though, because like I would say that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is like one of the shows where you can like really see that creators have really gone deep into the details.
But the point here is just that I think Vince Gilligan had written out much more than we see on air, even than we see on air in Better Call Saul. I think it helped that he was able to make Better Call Saul, but I can damn sure tell you that he was sitting there with a trigger finger after Breaking Bad was after the Breaking Bad finale had aired. He was sitting there like, but what about the rest of the story about Saul Goodman? Until he got the licensing to make Better Call Saul, or the production facilities to make Better Call Saul.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. It's like he definitely. I think
a lot of the point. Yeah, sorry, but the point is just a lot of writers are writing a lot more than you see on film. That's just the point.
Yeah. Well, like that makes sense. That makes sense, and he probably did that. There is like probably like a bunch of like unaired and materials from Breaking Bad laying somewhere in his house in a drawer, or a computer.
Then there's the whole Los Pollos Hermanos training series that's on YouTube. I believe you can find it, and Mike Ehrmantraut security training for. What is it for Magical Electromotive? There's that, and then there's a lot of minisodes as well on YouTube. Which, like, the last thing I watched was actually, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago, where I watched a minisode of Marie Schrader, who's making just a video diary where she's like, which she was supposed to send in to Dave, her therapist, and she's just literally sitting there for 3 minutes and just talking about self-help techniques to get better, but still in character, of course. And I mean, like, that's interesting. Have you seen that?
No, man, but it sounds fucking amazing, bro. It sounds
No.
fucking amazing.
No, yeah, I guess you would not be that interested of what I know from your character, from your persona. But actually, like, no. But the point. Have you seen the wedding video? The minisodes.
The wedding video.
Where Walter goes out to talk to Hank right before his wedding.
Nah, don't think so.
Wow, man, you gotta watch it. I'm gonna just search for that.
I didn't even know there were minisodes.
There are, but that's the point. These things are fucking hard to find because they're like scattered all over YouTube. But they are apparently something that the crew, Vince Gilligan and crew, filmed over the course of like while Breaking Bad was on and also while Better Call Saul was on. So like it's just, I don't know, man. It just also stipulates how big Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is, really.
Yeah, we should move on to the next subject that you had in mind, which was something with like Howard and Kim. Since you had an audio clip for Howard and Kim, and you were asking if Howard was the way that he was to Kim because of Chuck, or if it was himself.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right. I
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Like, I don't know. Like, Howard strikes me as a masochist. You know, even though like there's like nothing that really backs me up on that. But it's just like the way that he's like acting, and Howard is like definitely trying to act hard as an alpha male, right? The big shot with the law firm, right? But I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little in the dark because like he never made Kim a partner to the firm, right? And I don't know, like because like that can't be because of her work, because her work was extraordinary, right? She was an excellent lawyer. And that was a kind of like that. So I don't know. What do you think?
No, like I actually lost a little bit of sympathy for Howard based on that scene that I watched recently of him, because he's like saying to Chuck with quite a lot of bitterness, we'll see, like kind of like that's on the question. She's out of the dungeon or something like that.
Yeah.
Because they call the place where they just do doc review that.
Yeah. In the basement. Yeah.
And then he just answers, yeah, we'll see. You know, like really evilly thinking. You know,
I'm trying to find a picture of like when they had the board meeting in Howard McGill, right? Or Hamlin McGill.
Hamlin. Yeah, Howard Hamlin. That's his name.
Was there any women present that was partners in the firm? Because I don't think so. I don't think so either, man.
No,
I don't think so either.
It was Howard and his dad.
Yeah,
and then it was Chuck.
Yeah,
and that's it.
That's it. Those were the owners of the entire firm.
And at some point, Jimmy suggests throwing another M in the logo there, but Chuck was very reluctant due to Jimmy's history, of course, slipping Jimmy and all that.
Yeah,
You can understand. That's the beautiful thing, actually. That's I know we didn't want to discuss that, but we can throw that in here now that we're on it. That Jimmy or that Chuck is always seeing Jimmy as not being correct. He is not following the rules, and you can understand that actually.
Exactly, because you gotta like think what whenever like you think like what does how is the entire show going to end, right? And what does Jimmy or Saul deserve? Because he is by no means a good man. He's a damn asshole, and he's probably probably one of the most self-centered characters in the entire show, or at least he becomes that, right? So I gotta like say like when I put everything in the review and every action that he has made in the show during Breaking Bad and in Better Call Saul, I can't say that I wish for him to have a happy ending. I don't.
No, me neither. Like as I said, I've said this on a previous episode on this on Better Call on when we discussed this earlier. I think that I hope that Jimmy will get sort of the same ending as Walter. Because he is just as much of an asshole as Walter. He's just as greedy.
Yeah, he is. Like if it was going to be something like semi-happy ending, then I would like to see him in jail, and that he would build himself up after that, right? Because then at least he would have done his bid, and he would have taken some responsibility for the actions that he have made.
Actually, I think that would be very beautiful for a show like Better Call Saul, because a lot of the show or half of the show is the law. Basically. We have this contrast between the law on one side, at least in season 1 and 2, and then the criminal underworld with represented through Mike on the other side. So yeah, we have a very strong theme of the law, which we didn't have in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And by extension of that, and because Jimmy is such a what do you call it, a charlatan of the law, like kind of he breaks the rules often for his own gain or to promote his own business. I think it would actually make sense to end him up in prison. And that would be a nice transition into like a nice karmic justice, if you will.
Yeah, it would, and it wouldn't be as extreme as when they fucking offed Walter in the show.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
Exactly. But it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But they could make an extreme cut. But just an extreme cut of him, like being in prison, and then they zoom out like extremely with like make extreme editing or something like that.
Well, I just thought of something right before it slips my mind. Remember in the flash forward scene where he's working in that Cinnabon shop in Omaha, and he's like sitting outside having his lunch. And at first he doesn't say shit when that shoplifter dude, right, is running, right, and says like, don't say a word, right? And at first Jimmy calls him out to the police and says, like where he's hiding or whatever, right? And then he breaks the silence, right, and turns back to old Saul right there, and he started yelling at him like, don't say a word and call a lawyer or something, right?
Yeah.
Right. I could imagine that, like that would have been a beautiful bone thrown to the viewers if he does the exact same shit like that in prison to another inmate, right?
or even better, like he gets a cell that's like quite next to the entrance of the prison, and then when another inmate comes in, like you just hear him yelling from the distance, get a lawyer, get a good lawyer. as another inmate walks in.
Yeah, man.
Wow. That would be fucking beautiful.
That would have been a beautiful foreshadowing. If that's how they're going to end it. Because like, yeah, like, and also like, I don't see how he's going to continue living the way that he does, since he is obviously a paranoid prick. Like in the scene, like where he's like driving around in the freaking what is it? He's driving around in his car, listening to a police CB radio, to police scanner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Paranoid as fuck, and starting to call the Hoover Max guy Ed. And like starting to like think about like relocating to another place, and like just completely paranoid. And I don't see how that would end well for him, because he would just continue to be in the same spiral that he is in.
Yeah, exactly. But I like, were you done with this thought, or
I'm done with the thought.
Okay. So then I can like, because I can parallel this to, I think that this started very early in his childhood, actually, because there's a scene in the same episode as well as we have where Mike is talking to Jimmy. There's a flashback where Chuck is actually telling about their past and about the grocery store where their dad used to work, and then we have this robber walking into the store who's asking about some brake lights, I think, or something like that, something he once fixed on his car. And Jimmy's father is just like Charles McGill. Chuck is named after their father. So their father is just like, yeah, sure, I will check it out, because he's like a good guy. He's a good Samaritan. But then this evil guy is just walking over to the counter, and Jimmy is behind the counter, and he's just cramming out. You have this contrast as well between the towering gangster that just stands over this little kid, even though the kid is tough. But then Jimmy, as the tough kid who apparently has learned to be tough. Apparently he's a street kid. He knows the streets, and he knows the ins and outs of being tough, Then he's saying money first when the guy asks him for a bunch of, I don't know, some boxes of some bullshit. And then this guy is saying to him, kid, there's two kinds of people in this world. There are wolves and there are sheep. Figure out which one you are going to be. And I think that fucking ingrains itself in Jimmy from that moment on, already from early childhood.
Yeah.
So already from that moment on, when he's like 6 or 7 years old, we have Jimmy being like, yeah, I'm going to be a wolf in this world.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about that, but I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. That makes a lot of sense.
You can see it. You can see it by him slamming the register in that scene as well. He's slamming the register in like he's really frustrated, and you can see like.
I mean, it
is
definitely,
like he just steals the money out of his father's register.
It has definitely taken a toll on him, right? Or at least like it's had an impact on how he sees the world, right?
Yeah, but that impact is also because he's so tired and frustrated that his father is such a naive Samaritan.
Yeah.
But this is just. But it's not just that. It keeps spiraling, and compared to the situation with his brother being a very intellectual and over intellectual brother who's like much smarter than him, I think it just spirals all of a sudden. Like there's all these little elements that pile up that make him into a wolf at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But then again, there are still situations where he tries to do good, but then he jumps back into the wolf role.
Yeah. Like
So,
something
yeah.
something like occurred to me that like season 6 of Better Call Saul actually spans from 2004 to 2015. That's a long ass span, man. Because I just like
that's 10 years, over 10 years.
11 years, because fans have like pointed out that when he's driving the car in the flash forward scenes, it has the Omaha 150 years 50 years anniversary sticker in it, and Omaha's 150 year anniversary was in 2015. Meaning that we are at least in 2015 in the flash forward scenes of Gene, and in any other TV show you might have like been able to argue that like, but like like it's just something the producers or makers of the show forgot to remove, when they shot the scene, but not with Vince Gilligan, man. Then it was then it wasn't a coincidence that sticker was on the car.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's true. But when does Breaking Bad end? I can't remember. Like
2008.
Yeah, 2000. No, wait. Better Call Saul plays out in 2002
to 2003,
right?
To 2004 so far.
Okay. But then Breaking Bad only lasts for like a year or
over 2 years
at the most. So then we will actually be done by 2008.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when Saul is introduced in Breaking Bad, we are in December 2008.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, man. It's still fucking, excuse my language, it's still like fucking 4 years that they are going to have to cover in season 6. So
that's another thing, man. Like the time gap. But that's a whole other topic. I could go on about that, and we don't need to cram that into this episode.
No, but yeah, man. Like I do think that they could have made it like an easier transition, but like I'm pretty sure that we're just going to see something happen, and then we're just going to have a massive gap in time in season 6. More news in season 6 though is that it's not going to be 10 episodes as all other the other 5 seasons. It's going to be 13. 13.
No, that's not news. I mean,
not for a long time, but it's at least like 13 episodes. But I think like what we can safely say at this point is that it's not going to air before 2022.
No, especially during because of COVID and all that shit. I mean, it's gotta be like as I think I also wrote to you earlier as part of our planning. And yes, guys, we've actually been planning a little bit in this episode. So without planning, you cannot do a podcast episode. I mean, literally without it. But yeah, like as I wrote to you, my Jonathan Banks, I think, had his 74th birthday
Yeah.
a while ago. So he's 74, which means he's actually in the risk group of corona.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I don't know, man. They must have like really taken precautions to keep him safe,
I mean,
so
like,
that
they
he
are,
can be
they are,
part of season 6.
they're wearing like who knows, man? They are filming in New Mexico at least. Because like I was just thinking
of
if
course.
if they were
What else would
if they were filming
I wouldn't have expected less, to be honest.
if they were filming in Texas, I would have like thought, oh shit.
Yeah, fuck no.
Oh shit. No.
Fuck no. Fuck, man.
Like,
I
no.
would still have watched it, but I would be flaming like the fucking fanboy I am,
Like no face masks, no nothing, just some bullshit like ain't no corona in Texas, yo.
Oh. No, okay, actually, no, I was just like, because the action is taking place in New Mexico, so that's the only reason why I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
I don't care about the fucking restrictions. I just want them to make the fucking season.
Yeah. I think like they will, and I think like they are taking every possible precaution, face masks, and like visors and all that stuff. So
I was of course kidding there. Of course you should take your COVID precautions.
And like another.
I'm not advocating for you losing the face masks.
Another pro thing though is that they're filming a lot of the show outdoors. And when they're filming as much outdoors as they do, then they are like less affected by the COVID-19 restrictions as otherwise, since you're able to be more people outside. You're able to keep your space, right?
Good point.
Same with actually Yellowstone with Kevin Costner, that they are filming in Montana of all places, where they're also like just massively outside of like they're on a ranch under open air in the stars, right? So yeah, man, like I don't think like it's going to be like that bad, and we will probably like see it, and it's going to come like February next year or maybe like mid 2022, like summer, but not sooner, because it actually takes a while to edit and cut an episode, right? And that's just one episode.
I mean, we know that a little bit ourselves with these podcast, the corner episodes.
Yeah.
Like they, if you do want to create a certain quality, it will also take some time to edit, and it's not just the editing part. It's also, I mean, we can get into this right here. Like this takes 1 minute. Yeah. To edit an episode of the corner here actually doesn't just take it like putting the video feed into Sony Vegas. You also have to render it. You have to do a YouTube description that is halfway good. At least where you also consider the grammar. You have to upload the thing as well. You have to compile, like the way we're doing it right now is we're actually compiling the MP3 files and sending it to the one who has to upload it.
Yeah,
and like that needs to be done as well.
And that's only like a fraction of what it takes with an entire Better Call Saul episode. I don't even think it's a. It's a fraction. Because they can like when they're filming. Like I know that that episode where Mike and Saul is like walking through the desert.
Bagman.
Yeah, you know how long time it took to film that episode?
Probably 1 or 2 months.
Nah, not that bad, but 2 weeks. Two weeks in the desert, and you know, like
I was overestimating.
A lot of them were like worried because like there were like rattlesnakes and stuff in the desert, and they had like this Indian path finder, or like an Indian guide, like out there, to guide them as to how to walk in the desert and like take care of themselves, right?
My overestimation came from the fact that I've written a lot of reviews. I've written a review, and I've read a lot of reviews on the fact that it is the highest rated episode of season 5.
Yeah.
So excuse me for that.
So his response to them when they were worried about rattlesnakes in the desert was only like a faint laugh, like, it's too hot for rattlesnakes to come out in the sun, man. Right? And I'm like thinking like, holy shit, if it's too hot for a damn rattlesnake, then it's fucking hot.
Shit. Yeah. Fuck, man.
So yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So like I don't think that the sweat that we are seeing on Bob Odenkirk when we're seeing him walking across the desert is fake. I think that's real sweat.
But I think that this hard work that we're dealing with here with those 2 weeks, that is not exclusively editing, of course. That is also because the hard work is in the desert filming. Yeah. The logistics that is involved with desert filming.
That's exclusively the filming and logistics, right?
Yeah.
The editing.
But no, the editing is also like you also have to consider that, because that also takes a long time, and that is usually maybe if it's not one dude. I mean, there may be like a supervising editor who's like seeing a lot of different scenes. But there's maybe 2 or 3 editors that are sitting there day and night and just fucking getting nuts because they're sitting in front of a screen for like 8 to 10 hours a day.
And that's just for like one episode, right?
So, exactly. So kudos to the editors of that episode.
So I do think you're right, man. I think that they are close to like ending on like 1 month for one episode. When you pile together all the filming and all the work and all the cuts and all the edits, and then on top of that it has at the end of all that, it probably has to go to Vince Gilligan for approval.
I mean, there's a Danish show called Badehotellet, the bathing hotel in Danish, or like I don't know how you would translate that, but they make 6 episodes in a year. Yeah. So it takes you, that would probably be 2 months per episode actually. Yeah. To shoot. I think to shoot it.
The only difference that I think is that they probably have more people working on Better Call Saul.
Yeah, of course, and of course they have a bigger budget because it's America, and this bathing hotel is just a little Danish production for a Danish channel called TV2, and they have much smaller budget, but you still gotta admire their drive as well for still shooting, and they're on their 8th season right now.
But you could also like turn it the other way around and say that that the bar for success for Badehotellet is a lot lower than for Better Call Saul, because they don't need as many viewers, right, to continue to make another season.
Actually no. They do need, because the public channel TV2 is not a government finance channel, so they're relying on commercials for their income as well. So they're heavily reliant on viewer numbers. Definitely. Damn. And they've been struggling since day one. The first season of that show was I'm sorry, this is not that much of a concern to Americans, but you should watch it. It's actually subtitled in English.
I could never imagine, like working that way. Like, this show might be canceled next year, so we don't know if you're having.
But that's the same. I gotta say though, that's the same thing in America too. Like people, especially with a new show, actors are always afraid of losing their jobs, and I know this because I've been stalking this movie making scene for years. So like I think I'm pretty fair to say that I know what I'm talking about in this regard. Like especially with a new show, there's always the fear of being cancelled, and that doesn't matter where you are in the fucking world, whether you're in Denmark or whether you are in America. It is everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless you're on a fucking government channel like Danmarks Radio, or you have some fucking thing like I don't know, man, spise med pris. Like eating with price.
Man, that's a good fucking show, man.
That's a cooking show.
That's a good
but that's
show.
Governmentally financed.
They're just hooking up the cooking trailer to an old SUV and driving around.
Yeah.
Man.
But they're government financed, and I don't think they've had as hard a time as an American TV show or as Bad Hotel from TV2 in Denmark.
No, you're right.
Definitely not.
You're right. All right, let's get back on point a little bit here. So we'll probably see Better Call Saul first sometime next year, mid next year to be sure, because they also have to have a vacation and all that during the summer. So then there will be a gap before they can return to filming and editing. Interesting stuff, man. But
the gap, I wanted to comment on that pretty quickly, if I may.
Yeah.
The gap between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, because they have to make something there in order to make it in order to ensure the continuity there.
Yeah.
Between the two shows.
Okay.
And what?
I'm just pulling up the timeline that I made to explain later. Yeah.
Yeah, and so my favorite outcome would be that they actually just make a normal season 6. They make 1 to 10 of stuff happening after season 5, and then they have 3 episodes where they make a lot of time skips.
Yeah.
But then they maybe have the first 2 episodes where they have time skips, and the last one will slow it down a little bit and end it on a slow note, so as to not leave us mesmerized as to.
Yeah.
Fuck, man! Did that just happen? And they're I don't want that to happen. I don't want a shocking end. I want a slow final. That's what I want. I want a slow final to Better Call Saul.
Yeah, me too. All right, I have the timeline that I made up.
Much like El Camino. Actually, I like that final too.
Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah.
I don't have a specific time for the scene that you explained where Jimmy is asked if he's a wolf or a sheep, right? Or saying that you're either a wolf or a sheep. But I'm guessing that would be in the 60s or 70s or something.
I don't know. It's probably more like the 80s because the Better Call Saul. No,
70s or 80s.
It's probably it's not the 60s. Yeah. Definitely not the 60s. But the 70s could be.
Because in 1992, that's when Jimmy and Marco is running con games in Chicago. From the flashbacks that we saw. Yeah. And 5 years after that, then Jimmy passes the bar and gets his law degree from the University of American Samoa. But not hired at HHM because of Chuck.
Which he gets renewed, that university diploma he gets renewed after he becomes Saul Goodman. Yeah. This is a very common theory, at least, because this didn't make sense to me at first, because if he had gotten the degree as Jimmy McGill, why does it say Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad on his diploma? But apparently you can go to your university and get your name changed on that diploma.
Yeah.
If you're in that situation.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And then he works as a mailman and not as a lawyer, right? When we see him for the first time in season 1 of Better Call Saul, which is May 13th, 2002. Because he's not working as a lawyer, but he's still working at Hamlin McGill, right? In the very beginning there. So like that's season 1. It's that only actually takes place during a couple of months, May to July 2002, and then we have 2002 that picks straight up from July 2002 to September 2002. So again, like only like a couple of months, right?
Yeah.
And then we have like season 3 that takes place a little longer, which takes place from September 2002 to March 2003. And then we have 2004, which with even a longer span, which is now from March 2003 to April 2004. You know, so you see like it becomes more and more span, right?
Yeah.
From these seasons. But then, for some reason, they cut back. And we see season 5, which again is only like a couple of months between April 2004 and June 2004.
Yeah.
So then the theory then is that season 6 has to cover everything from June 2004 to December 2008. Where
and that's what I mean. That's what I mean by that. Episodes 1 to 10 could just cover June 2004 or July 2004 until maybe July 2005, and then the last 3 episodes or the last 2 episodes. No, the episode 11 and 12 will then cover the 3 years in a time skip.
Yeah.
And then the last episode will cover some transition between like that's very close to the Breaking Bad beginning, maybe with a possible cameo. That could be interesting. But and again, I'm not sure about this because
I mean, like all we have to see, right, for like a major time skip to happen is that he buys the entire strip mall, right?
Yeah.
And he gets it remodeled and like makes that fucking office of him. And by the way, not forgetting, puts the diamonds in the wallpaper.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. That's very important. We cannot
miss that. And then
because that would be a major blunder on Gilligan's, but of course he's going to remember
it's going to be there. And then like when it's been remodeled and like he's sitting there in that office and getting clients because of all his commercials, that's where they could potentially make a time skip, because we don't have to see every client that he has gotten since then and up to the point where Walter White walks through the door.
No,
right?
We don't have to.
We only have to see it becoming established, and then they can make like a couple like flash forward episodes that I am assuming that they will put in color instead of keeping it gray and white, because then those scenes could be like present time, instead of future.
Yeah.
And seeing whatever fate happens to Gene then, right? But again, like that doesn't have to take a long time, because so it's like the famous phrase, like that you can destroy something in a second that has taken years to build up, right?
Yeah.
And that could very well happen for Gene as well, or Walt, or Gene, or Soul, or Jimmy, or whatever you want to call him at this point.
Yeah,
right.
Man, dude sure has gotten a lot of names, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. Like, how are we on time, by the way?
I think we're on time to like end it. We are almost on an hour, 54 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, man, like I'm excited to see it, and of course, like we're going to share everything that we know about it. And the only thing that we know about the new season so far is that they showed a clipboard, you know, like that, or like what do you call it? You know, like the scene, you know, like the thing that they clap together, like clap, scene 17, take reaction.
Oh, that's called a fuck, man.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean, and you see on the picture there, right? That
I think it actually is called the clipboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you see, you see on that picture there that the date is the 10th of March, 2021, and that's episode 601.
Oh yeah.
So that means that they started shooting episode 1 of season 6, March 10th this year.
Yeah.
So only 11 days ago since they began shooting. And that's pretty much all we know, right? So you know, like we'll keep you posted, and I'm glad you took the time to be here on this episode, Alexander.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Like I'm actually glad as well, because I didn't have anything else to do, so I wouldn't have known what to do with this night.
Yeah, man.
But
yeah. And you know the drill. Everybody that is like watching or listening to our stuff here, that's not always BS. But I'm gonna say it anyways. Like, share, and subscribe the shit out of both this channel and Alexander's channel.
And ring the bell and make sure to press the bell notification.
Yeah, press the notification bell, right? Yeah, man. I guess like that's it. Hasta luego, folks. We'll see you later.